Yo, so I feel like shit once again, so lazy video time, but you know, the show must fucking go on. I think I sound a little better, but I think I should be completely normal by like next week. I hope and pray. But anyway, today we're gonna be ranking every post-time skip arc in One Piece, which should be interesting because I think most people think that post-time skip is inferior to pre-time skip in just about every single way, but you know, I digress. Diving straight into this shit. Number 9, it's Fishman Island, alright? We all knew this shit was coming. It's just a big-ass nothing burger. I hate it. There is very little essential information, at least that we know comes from it, other than Nika being mentioned for the first... Not Nika. Joy Boy being mentioned for the first time. I feel like you could pretty easily skip Fishman Island and not miss out on really anything substantial that really affects the story that much. Like I said, it is the first arc where Joy Boy is mentioned, but if you aren't really paying attention, which, I mean, it was pretty hard for me to pay attention during this arc, especially in the anime, it'll just go right over your head. You won't even fucking notice what happened. Okay, let's move on. I don't want to get bombarded by Fillerman Island fanboys and fangirls too hard, but at number 8, I think I'm gonna do Return to Sabaody, but there is an enormous gap between 9 and 8. So I generally like Return to Sabaody, but nothing happens in it. And if you don't give a fuck about how the new post-time skip character designs look, you could easily get away with skipping this shit. Not saying you should, like I said, I like it. I love seeing everybody reunite and shit, but if you were hell-bent on catching up to One Piece and don't give a fuck about any non-necessary, non-essential shit, you could probably skip it. Number 7. I'm gonna do Punk Hazard. I actually really like Punk Hazard, and it's way better than the other two I already named. There's a huge fucking gap once again. There isn't really a whole lot to dislike about Punk Hazard, if I'm being honest. It's the beginning of Law becoming like a primary big deal fucking character. So if you love that edgy little fuck, you should probably like this arc. And it generally does a lot for the story. It's a setup arc for the Dressrosa fucking saga. And it has all the big ass kids. And it alludes to possible Logia awakenings with the entire island basically being created by Aokiji and Akainu. It's just a dope ass arc. Not a whole lot to not like here. Caesar is somewhat of a garbage villain though. It seems like he's just kind of a prop to show that Luffy can hit Logias now, and he's kind of a bootleg buggy. But every fucking clown is a bootleg buggy, let's just be honest here. Alright, number 6. We got Dressrosa, okay? So, Dressrosa is interesting because, I mean, it's now the second longest arc behind Wano, but it just seems like very little happens in such a large amount of fucking time. So, Sabo comes back, so, which depending on how you feel about Oda bringing him back to life, he was definitely a bright spot, and he went pretty fucking hard, let's be honest. Doffy was most definitely the star of the arc, and in most people's opinion is the best villain in One Piece, and he's the main redeeming quality of this arc. Oh, and Don Chinjiao too, he's pretty fucking cool. I just feel like if you had to have an arc that's this long, some shit has got to go down, and Dressrosa just doesn't have that. Don't even get me started on the anime, that shit is completely unwatchable. I guess they get the fleet out of it, I don't know, it's just, yeah, it's too long, and not eventful enough. Alright, number 5. I'm gonna do Zoe. So Zoe is very refreshing since you come out of the slow-paced mess that is Dressrosa, but it is very much a setup arc for Whole Cake, and that's about all it is. I really like it though, although Jack was a complete fucking letdown, but he was pretty badass at the time. I do like Zoe, okay? And Zoe could probably move up, but I'm delusional. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm throwing it in at 5. Alright, number 4, I'm gonna do Whole Cake. So in my mind, Whole Cake is just a slightly upgraded version of Dressrosa. It has its shitty moments, like in the forest or whatever, but this ended up being Sanji's arc, and I can really appreciate that shit. Katakuri, to this day, is a shit ton of people's favorite character, and I can't even blame you. He looks fucking insane, and his power looks like cum. How could you not love him? And he basically lost on purpose to have a fair fight with Luffy. I love Katakuri. Him and Sanji carry this arc. Oh, and Big Mom sucks, by the way. I know I made a video attempting to dick ride her a few weeks ago, but I got her cock out of my mouth now. She's so fucking annoying and stupid. I think she gets slightly better in Wano, but holy fuck, in Whole Cake, it's unbearable. Fucking screaming for the goddamn wedding cake for 100 episodes straight. Fuck that shit. I don't think it was 100, but you get what I mean. It felt like 100. Okay, number 3, I'm rolling with the Reverie but honestly, it's close. There isn't really an arc quite like the Reverie, because it's a setup arc similar to Zoe and I guess Punk Hazard, but the events it sets up don't happen in the next arc. It sets up endgame shit and shows shit happening around the world. We didn't truly see what the fuck happened at the Reverie behind the scenes until a few months ago in the goddamn manga. This very easily could have been 2 just because of how jam-packed with juicy shit it is, but just since it's short, I'll throw it in at 3, but it's honestly, it's a tie with 2. Speaking of 2, I got Wano. So, I think you know what that leaves at 1, but a little controversial opinion, but let me cook, alright? So Wano to this point is the single greatest anime arc to date. And I don't think that point is really arguable either. Literally, just about all of the greatest anime episodes of One Piece are in the Wano arc, including the godsend that is 1015, which is one of the greatest anime episodes of all time, really. But beneath the pretty animation, it has its issues. There are a lot of fights we don't give a fuck about, just like every One Piece arc, really. It is the longest One Piece arc as well, passing up Dressrosa. I just think it played to the length a lot better than, Dressrosa, splitting the shit up into acts. The Odin flashback is the best flashback in One Piece, and probably will be until we see some rocks or Void Century shit. It's a very eventful arc. My only nitpick is that I wish we dove into a tiny bit of shit happening around the world. Even if it's just 1 or 2 little things where they put the camera on Shanks for a second and show him eating fucking hot Cheetos or some shit on a ship at some remote location. Something like that would be appreciated. Alright, here we go. Number 1. It's fucking Egghead. I know it's not finished yet, but there's damn near nothing Oda could do to make this shit go lower on this list. There's just too much content in this fucking arc. It shows shit happening around the world like every other chapter. That's what I loved about the Reverie. There's the Kuma shit. The shit with Sabo almost dying, Garp versus Aokiji, Luffy versus Kizaru, the reveal of Vegapunk, fucking Shanks actually using a move. Just last chapter that dropped this week, we got a reveal of one of the fucking Gorosei's devil fruits. And shit like that drops every other chapter. Even if the anime only does half a chapter per episode, I wouldn't even be mad if it had decent animation. Half of an Egghead chapter is more eventful than 90% of Wano chapters. Alright, that's it with my Egghead dick riding. Let me take off my fucking dick riding goggles. I don't think many people would be mad about this. Anyone who reads the manga knows that this arc is more hype than anything post time skip, and it isn't remotely close. It's kind of similar to Sabaody in a lot of ways, and I'm talking specifically on Egghead, not any of the little side quests. And Saboody's my favorite arc. I made a whole ass video on it. Sabaody was the beginning of the little Marineford saga, and it's when shit really started to go down. And Egghead is the beginning of the final saga. It even has fucking Luffy versus Kizaru in it, just like Sabaody. And just like in Sabaody, Luffy lost. I mean, I could look pretty dumb in a few weeks, but it's looking like, the Straw Hats are probably gonna take an L or something of that nature in this arc. And, call me a loser, but I love watching the main character lose because, I think Luffy needs to be humbled a little bit because he's kind of fucking broken, and I like it. And I like... Never mind. Come the fuck on. Saturn has a literal devil fruit. When Marines look at him, their fucking heads explode. This is more than a devil fruit. It could be a whole ass different power system. Who knows? But, yeah, no. That's the list. I hope you stupid motherfuckers enjoyed this little video. I feel like complete dog shit. I have to do that to garner sympathy, so I don't have to take responsibility for my horrible opinions. Alright, have a good day.